we had quite a lot going on when we were last gone, and the NBA draft is one of those things that happens. So here's what here's some of the highlights. The first two picks were from France. Zachary Richard, the first overall pick, went to the Atlanta Hawks. And the second overall pick, Alexander Czar, went to the Washington Wizards. And then the sixth pick, Tijan Salon, went to the Charlotte Hornets. So I don't know what's going on in France, Jimmy, but they're developing lots of NBA talent. We had lots of interesting things. Dalton Knecht, one of the older players in the draft, 23, went to the Lakers. And Bronny James, baby, was drafted. He went in the
Yeah.
second round, and he didn't. There was no team that did the Brent Chapman strategy and draft Bronny to get LeBron. Instead, the Lakers drafted Bronny to keep LeBron. There you go. So,
Smart
Jimmy,
move.
what was your favorite picks? What was your favorite moves of this year's NBA draft?
Well, the biggest thing that I took from the NBA draft this year is that it's a it was more of a international slanted or favored draft with coming from players from France, as you mentioned. Um, Victor Wembanyama being the first pick coming from France last year, and now we see the first and second picks coming from France this year. It's just a testament to the international game and really how the international players are getting opportunities at a higher rate than well in this draft than American players. So that's like to me is like sounding the alarm where if if we're teaching young American players uh to be the best they can be and we're training them to be the best uh basketball player. It seems like this year the international teams have caught up, or international countries and players have caught up. So the the kind of cachet of being the best player in the United States, well, where are they? It was kind of slim pickings for American players in this draft.
It's a
And
good point,
I think
Jimmy.
it's a trend uh, moving forward. And I tell my friends and family this all the time. When I was overseas, when I had the opportunity to play overseas, to play in Europe, play in South America, as a professional athlete, you have two practices and a game. So the first practice is with the younger international players, which is their like youth team. So these kids are like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're playing against professional players from their countries and from America. And then we would have our in team practice. So the international players had the opportunity to play with us, with pros. It would be like high school kids or middle school kids going into high school, having accessibility to play with LeBron and KD and Westbrook and whoever, name them all, Brunson, whoever you want to name, and getting that tutelage and experience. And that's why you see them getting drafted at such a high rate lately.
It is crazy, Jimmy. You know that I have a son that's 13 and 8, and we're doing all the we go to these tournaments, and these gyms are full, and we're traveling across the country. And youth basketball and AAU basketball is insane. So to see all these people playing basketball and then see three of the top six picks are from France is not great. it's kind of disappointing, and maybe the parents watching the show should wonder if they should invest so much money in all this basketball that they're paying for, because it's big business. My question for you though, Jimmy, is of the two picks, Alexander Sar and Zachary Richard, I don't know how to say his last name, uh should have Czar gone number one? I mean, he was kind of the preemptive number one pick, and it felt that got switched at the last minute, and Zachary went number one instead. What do you think? Is Alexander Czar really the best prospect, best player in the draft, and the Hawks screwed up, or did the Wizards get gifted one?
Well, time will tell, but from what I've heard, it was, and this happens often in the draft, right? You hear guys, kind of sifting between one, two, sometimes maybe three. On in a good drafts, you might get guys that are kind of, sliding up and down the scale through one through five. But the first and second pick, I can see how teams can go back and forth, and really it comes down to the best fit. Um, Usually, when it comes down to the last minute of a decision like that, it's usually a character thing. And I don't want to put anything out there like that. I haven't heard anything
I got you.
that
Maybe it's just a
that
fit thing. They felt the other guy would come into the organization better and fit in their organization better.
right. And I think that's what it is. It comes down to, how they want to play, the philosophy, what the coaching staff is looking for, how they can complete their team or enhance their team. And I think that's really what it came down to for this draft. A lot of these guys, I was looking around, I'm like, I got to brush up on my international basketball scouting, because these guys, half of them I haven't heard of, or I've heard of, but I don't know much about. So it's just a next step to the international play that I think that the NBA has always had as a plan, going back to even the late 80s.
Well, I agree with you, and I'll say this, Jimmy, uh, before moving on to the next topic. My favorite pick of the NBA draft was the risky choice of the Memphis Grizzlies going with the 7'4" center from Purdue, the two-time NCAA Player of the
Player of the
Year,
year.
Zach Edey out of Purdue. See, I like this. I like, Ja Morant. I like Jaron Jackson Jr. I like maybe Steven Adams paired with Zach Edey. See, here's the thing. Nobody wants to play big man basketball anymore,
Yes.
right? They all want to
It's gone.
they all
They all
want
wanna
to
stand out there,
step
shoot
out
threes.
and be Steph Curry.
Absolutely.
So now you've got, is Steven Adams staying on the Grizzlies? So you got Steven Adams, who's not an offensive player, and you got Zach Edey. This is going to be a pretty sort of dominant. Like, this is not like Cat ain't going to come in here, right? You go stand out there at the 3-point line, Cat.
That's where
Go
you wanna go anyway.
Yeah, that's where he wants to be anyways, right? Same with all these guys. Embiid, like, you're not banging in here with Edie and Adams and Jaron Jack. Good luck.
Edie's about to extend his range and learn how to shoot threes, and that's it.
No,
That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna
nope, we
morph
don't want that.
into
We want Lambeer, baby. We want Lambeer back in the NBA. This is why this is my favorite pick, because I want to establish some old school basketball, Jimmy. And I
down.
think Zach Edey is rebounding and size and blocking and boxing out and dominant defense. That's what I like,
I
Jimmy.
love
That's
it.
my pick.
I love it. That's old school basketball right there. I was just talking to my dad and my youngest son about that, and we were just discussing that very thing. It's like it's a different ball game. Um, it was interesting to see the crowd reaction when they called his name, when they called Edie in the draft. he got some boos. So I guess the overall fan base don't appreciate his style or don't know his style or not familiar with the style. Um, but we'll see. Like I said, it's just like all these players. Time will tell how good a pick that is with Zach Eady going ninth.